Good morning. My name is Tom Johnson-Medland, and I am here to share today with you a devotional on self-care. I think one of the things as healthcare providers, as professional clinicians, uh, and clinical providers of care, that we tend to give and give and give and help other people to find a sense of peace in not only their body, but in their mind and in their heart and in their soul. But we tend to wear ourselves out and forget to replenish the stores of who we are as people. I want to share with you an article that I wrote called The Silent Space, which deals with the idea of creating a space for yourself within which you can heal. So I'm going to ask you to just start by sitting back, sitting up, getting relaxed, and closing your eyes and listening to the words of the silent space, and allow it and its ideas and its concepts to become for you a form of relaxation, a form of self-care. One thing we know about self-care when it comes to having some form of efficacy in our lives is that anecdotally we have seen again and again and again that when people tell themselves that they are doing something to take care of themselves, the things that they do to care for themselves seem to have more of a benefit. So when we just simply do things to take care of ourselves, but we don't acknowledge that why we're doing them is to take care of ourselves, they tend not to have the same impact or efficacy in our lives. So please, as you're closing your eyes, as you're sitting up straight, tell yourself that you're doing this thing right now, that you're listening and sitting and calming yourself because you need to take care of yourself. And every time in the future that you do something to provide care for yourself, the way that it allows itself to eke into our hearts, to carve a place in us, is when we tell ourselves that we're doing it for ourselves, so that we may be nourished and we may be enhanced in the work that we do, the vocation we are in, and the calling that we have in our lives. So please sit up, get yourself comfortable, and close your eyes. Often in our lives, we run up against losses that knock us off the path, or at least they slow us down considerably. These losses make us feel as if we've been blocked from any chance at progress, perhaps even made to go backward, away from our goals and patterns of growth. We suffer losses not only as hospice and healthcare caregivers, but as people, as children, parents, lovers, and friends. Each step along the path of life reveals not only beautiful vistas and gorgeous panoramas, but also difficult scenery, painful horizons. We seek to hold life in the balance. We try to give equal time to the pain and the joy, mingle tears and laughter. To focus on only one aspect would be to disregard the deeper places in us and forget how complex we truly are. Throughout each day, we go about the task of consoling. We listen to people's suffering and let them know they have been heard. We tell them what they have said so that they may hear themselves. So many people do not hear how deeply they feel hurt or how deeply they feel joy. Then we, the counselors, we try to enable them to search their lives for solutions and resolutions and peace. As easy as it may be to increase a dose of medication or blindly tell people that nothing is wrong, we choose the more difficult path. It would be simple to anesthetize a symptom, hide an emotion that may ruffle a feather. It is much more difficult to listen, to hear, and to search deeply to be sure that the salve is not numbing an important realization. We have all held the hand of someone who is crying from pain and realized that their anguish could be assuaged by a call from a family member reaching out. Some pain results from a lack of forgiveness. This consolation is far more obscure. The opioid that would ease this type of pain is tender mercy and compassion. These consolations take their tolls on the caregiver. One day we will notice that a patient sounds lonely as she recounts the tales of her children when they were young. Another day we will hear vigor and unabashed pride as we hear the stories of a person who's hiked the Appalachian Trail. We turn toward these people and verbally model for them what it means to comfort and console. We let them know we heard them. We say things like, "Sarah, that is so touching. It sounds like you missed those days when your children were young." Or, "Harry, you must be so proud of that hike." What a major accomplishment. Once we have let them know that we have heard them, we are setting free those people and ourselves to help them resolve and connect with those moments in a fresh and fulfilling way. We will then be able to add what we are saying already. Sarah, you've talked to your girls today, right? They would probably love to hear that story again. Or, Harry, I bet Joe would love to come over and have coffee and look at those pictures of the hike. You two are such good friends. But when the commotion of providing care settles, and when the intense activity of our own visits subside and the patients are all gone, we are worn out. We may be exhausted physically, or we may just be a bit touchy emotionally, or perhaps even crabby. How should we grieve? Where should we turn? What should be our consolation? And what are the moments of grief that has moved closer in on us and entered into the circle of our close friends and families? How do we bridge this gap when what we do is a part of our own lives? How do we care for ourselves? First and foremost, I believe it's essential that we clear the decks for 5 to 15 minutes daily. We must learn to sit down and do nothing. Vow not to budge until you have completed some form of quiet time. No phones, no distractions, just stillness. Even echo-filled at first, this quiet time will become a source of rejuvenation for us. Creating a silent space that is meant for our own healing is critical. It is good to create a central image for the routine visualization that can help you into this quiet space, such as a cave or a secluded grove of trees. Find in your heart or mind that special place that will bring you a sense of healing. Maybe it's by a stream bed, maybe it's at the ocean. Visualize the locus that is hidden within your heart, this space. Imagine a path that leads to this place in the heart and then travel to it. Imagine that you're walking down a sandy beach to come to the ocean, or walking alongside a wooded path to come to a stream or a waterfalls. Once you have arrived in this garden or grove or cave or ocean of the heart, just be still. Imagine this scene as a stillness, a calming, a peaceful place. Something will emerge that needs to be heard. Listen to whatever comes forth. Listen to what you hear and notice what appears in your mind while you are at this silent space within, while you are at this inner grove or this inner ocean or this inner waterfall. Listen and hear what emerges, because that thing that emerges is going to be very important. At first, the things we hear or notice may be distressing. Like we may come up with lists of things that we have to do, or we may think of broken relationships that we need to mend, right? But that's only at the beginning that it may be distressing. This means that we need to acknowledge that we are distressed over some things in our lives. But soon, after we go back to this place day in and day out, soon we will hear and notice things in a less pressing way. The process of going within and finding this special locus, this special place, this special ocean within the heart, the process will move towards calm. And even when the issues of our life are very stressful, going to this place, this silent space within, will be calming for us. From within that quiet space will emerge what we need to hear. As with the people that we console, we must first listen to hear what it is that we are saying before we can attempt to fix things in our lives. So we need to first learn to listen to what comes up. Sitting allows things to come up from within us. Once we hear what we're trying to say to ourselves, then we can look for the remedy. Once we know that we're sad, once we know that we are glad, once we seek and find that we are hurting, then we can move beyond that. Once we know that, then we can seek how to express it in ways and to work with it. Once we hear ourselves from within this space say we are exhausted, or I can't believe how tired I am, or how mournful my heart is, or how joyful my heart is. Once we hear that, once we say that within, we will be able to more readily deal with those issues and not hide from them. Once we realize that we love someone, we will then be sure to find an opportunity to share that emotion. But again, first step is to go within and listen. Now, remedies may come in the form of learning some new way to cope with what it is we're feeling and what emerges, or by reading some scriptural texts or a book or poems or listening to music, something designed to help us sustain ourselves. But they may also come, these solutions, from sharing what you've heard inside with someone who is dear to you. So while taking this time, while creating this sacred space to go to on a daily basis, after we hear what's going on, we should share it with other people, because then at that point, those people will resound with responses to us. Now, that person is then given the opportunity to provide care for you. Others hold the key to the treasure chests and the attic doors in our own lives. Did you hear that? Others hold the keys to the treasure chests and attic doors in our own lives. We may find in this space that we long for forgiveness. We may notice that we just want to cry. We may recognize deep gratefulness and thanksgiving. We may find unbridled laughter. All of this is within us. We sometimes schedule it right out of the experience of our lives. Stillness reconnects us with our own journey. These steps are not easy to accomplish. The path is difficult, but this is the proper way toward consolation in our lives, towards healing, towards bringing a remedy to all of this, the care that we give to others. This is how we provide self-care for ourselves. It's exactly what we ask of our patients and their families, is it not? So first, take some time for yourself, by yourself, listening to what's going on inside. Create that sacred space. Maybe you visualize yourself going into a cave that is in your heart, or down a path to the waterfall, or along a stream, or to the sandy beach and walking along it to find the fullness of the ocean. And then second, share what you find with those on your path and seek a remedy or a way to express what you found within. I believe that these places, these spaces, these times are the space and time in which we meet the Lord, in which we meet the Spirit within us. And it is that encounter that emboldens us and gives us strength and encouragement. But again, we've got to go to that place, we've got to listen, and we've got to share with other people. May the work that we do and the people that we meet remind us that consolation begins with an inner stillness. May we trust enough to know that all life seeks to grow. May we notice that all plants turns towards the sun. May we feel that all oceans move in rhythm to the tugging of the moon. May we recognize that all people long for wholeness and that we are one of those people. Let's pray. Father, I ask that you bless these caregivers. The work that they do on a daily basis is tiring and tiresome. It takes from them a great amount of energy, a great amount of happiness and joy, a great amount of compassion. And they need to be able to replenish that on a routine basis. Give them the strength to find a pathway in to the silence in their heart, to that silent space where they can not only visualize a calming scene, but they may sit in that scene and listen to what has to be said, to listen to their own hearts and hear what is bubbling up from within, and then enable them to find people in their lives that they can share this with and hear how it comes back to them. Like bread cast out on the water, may the things that they share come back to them in a way that they are healing and supportive for their own lives, their own selves. Amen. Take care. Hope to talk to you again soon.